Yeah, because this will fail if you try to pass it when the shader doesn't take that variable. But I probably should actually change the full screen quad. I should. Actually, that's not true. It doesn't make much sense for this to take the camera location. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So with this one, what's happening here is you're seeing a rectangle. Like in Manim space, there's just a rectangle floating there. But it's conveniently sized so it takes up the entire screen. And from there, the shader just happens to be such that it makes this design. But anyway, that worked. That didn't require any like crazy changes. What are these other things? Test 2. I don't remember any of these examples. I should probably PR things more. I guess that didn't work, whatever it was. What was this supposed to do? This is also full screen quad. It looks like it's supposed to be just one color. Unexpected floating point constant on line 3. That was of the fragment shader too. So this seems like a strange place to fail. Oh, I think I know what the problem is with this. I think the problem is that this needs to read data from the vertex shader, but the vertex shader it's filled in manually, or it's filled in automatically. I think. Unexpected floating point constant. This error message doesn't make much sense though. It also keeps ruining my screen. Come on. And it's funny because this shader is way simpler than this one, which is working. Self-render constant context version 330. This state is all fine. Should this... What is the floating point constant? Is this going to be something really simple? Okay, if I comment this, which I think that's how you comment this, and comment this, and just make this red or something, and my screen stops doing that. Vim is not having the best day today. Gonna close that. Gonna run it again. Seems OpenGL. Hitting some technical difficulties. Oh my god, just find the examples. this one. Thank you. Okay, now, if I'm lucky, this should just be solid red. Undefined variable frag underscore color. Was this supposed to be GL frag color? If I look at, for example, the default.vert, or default/vert, here. The out frag color. Okay, so I have to specify out. Try that again. Same thing. Unexpected floating point constant. What does that mean? Let me see if that's... So to say unexpected this. Blah, blah, blah. Sounds like the material names contain dodgy characters? It's unexpected identify. Oh, that's not the same thing. It's weird because this seems like a very straightforward shader. I wonder if it'll help if I removed the new line. Like there's some white space somewhere. Same thing, and it's still at line 3 even. Okay, let me see if the one before this works. I guess this works. Okay, so what is this shader doing that this shader isn't doing? It must be something with that full screen quad, right? Because just as shader, I can pass it. But not as a full screen quad. But I can do full screen quads if they're super complicated, I guess. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna slowly change this more complicated one into this less complicated one. Because this one with full screen quad test give me a break. This one works. So I'm just going to... Oh, you know what it might be? No, I don't know what it is. Just kidding. Wait, why is this taking a list of attributes? Does that even make sense for a full screen quad? I guess it kinda does, but not really. I guess I have to leave it or that'll have its own kind of crash. I'm going to replace this with basically this code. So version 330. All of this stuff, define whatever, and just comment this stuff. Now, if I don't pass in the attributes, and I don't try to add an updater, we should now do the same thing. Oh, it can be used with non-varying frag color. Think this needs to be frag underscore color. Because before I specified with a variable what I want the output to be. I think. Nope, same thing. Oh, I do have to uncomment the version. Wait, why can't I even read this? Isn't this commented? For test 2? Unless that's not the way you... Oh, I guess it worked. Although it's completely black. And for that, I'd have to pass the uniform for resolution. Okay. So now I want to see if I can make the other code work. So I'll just put out a constant frag color. So it should just be red now. Okay, with that I can comment pretty much all of this. Now I have to use the resolution here. So if I take that out, I have to take out this, so I don't set that resolution. And probably have to comment these. So now I want to know, can I pass in attributes at all? So I have these, which is passing in the red, green, and blue. I'll try passing at those. And this causes that error. Okay, so it's something to do with passing attributes. And so that is debuggable. Oh, this doesn't even take attributes. Well, that would do it. Jeez. Wait, what? How did I mess that up so bad? But yeah, this doesn't take attributes, which kind of makes sense. Because if it's just a plane, why would you have to pass it attributes? It doesn't really make any sense. So I guess the way to get test 2 to work this whole time so here's test 2. Here's where it was originally. Oh, it's because it's taking these in as attributes when they should just be uniforms. These should just be uniforms. And then I shouldn't pass this in. So now if I were to run test 2, I think this will be just black. Yeah. Declaration of frag color. Conflicts. I guess it shouldn't be frag color. Do I not put this here? None type is not subscriptable. Okay, what did I do now? This we're adding an updater. Oh, this is... updating the attributes, which doesn't make sense. So I just won't use this updater. There'll have to be a better way to use that. Okay, so now this is just black and it doesn't have any error. Now to pass these uniforms, it should be surface.setUniform. Then if I do vred, then I'll try to do... I just do 1. And green and blue. I'll do like half or something. I think I have to do shader program. Maybe? Not shader program, but shader. Okay. Great. Okay. So basically, full screen quad can't take attributes. That's it. So I can update this to just take this out. And if I wanted to update this, like here where it's updating the... What was I doing? It looks like I was updating all of the colors to increase and then decrease. But what I'd want to do is set these to 0, I think. Then the updater should update the uniform within the shader. So this will be .shader.setUniform. In red. Well, I want to increase it by DT. But I don't think you can read the value from the shader. Can you? Probably not. I don't think you can. So I'm gonna set that here. What I'll do is increment this. And then decrement this. And then if this exceeds 1, do that with this. Whoops. Okay, and then surface, shader, set uniform, all of these. Come on. Green, blue. Okay, hopefully this will make the color oscillate. Nope, what'd I do? Still no. In red. Oh, it's V. Okay. Anyway, that does what I thought it would do now. Set this to half, and I only update the blue. Now only the blue should oscillate. Oh. I was wondering why it was fading from black. So now it should be starting from like gray, I guess. Interesting. Okay. That works now. Shader example. I don't think I need any of these other ones to work. Oh, this one. It's just showing that shaders work, I guess. Then it goes back to interactive development. Okay, so everything works, quote unquote. I think what I want to do is make the full screen quad be able to read a shader from a file. It's kind of weird having to type it in line like this. And from there, I think after that it would make sense to PR it. Wait, what did Mobject test do again? Did this have camera controls? It does. I thought that would break something. Oh, I remember what I ended up doing. It's all coming back to me now. Okay, the first thing to do. I need a way to read these designs from the file. So is there an old example or something? Quad shader, curve shader. Yeah, I don't think there's an example of this. So here's what I think I need to do. Let me look at those shaders first of all. Also, this song is annoying me. Design 1, for example. Design.vert and frag. Are the vertex shaders all the same? They are. Okay, so these are made for full screen quads. Then the fragment shaders do whatever they're supposed to do. Okay, so I think this wouldn't be too hard. Let me move these into folders. And move design.vert vert and frag into design. And the same thing for these other ones. Okay, that looks a little bit nicer. Now what I need this to do is this can take a fragment shader source equals none. And this should be if fragment shader source is not none. That's when it tries to do this. Right? Okay, and that vertex shader is hard-coded. Oh, and this only has a fragment shader. This almost makes me think it shouldn't be in a folder. If I put in fragment shader like name, and let this be none, then I could actually prioritize looking for the name. So if you pass in a name, then use the name. I'll just pass this. Else, if you pass in the source, it'll use the source. And then else, it should actually have an error. Okay, so how do I use the name? I think this has the name of the shader folder already. So, okay, doesn't this already do this somewhere? For file, what is this doing? For each file, it's getting the path, then getting the source, and then putting it in a dictionary. Okay. Oh, and that's how it's creating that program. Folder slash name. Oh, okay. So it's getting the fragment. There's only two files in this folder. The vertex shader and the fragment shader. Then it's getting the path, getting the source. Then it's just passing it in. This needs like the keys, vertex shader, fragment shader, whatever. So I think I can just copy this verbatim. Can't I? Is it just like this? And that gets me the shader program? Let's get shader code from file though. It's the property of a shader. Oh, then I can just... Hold up. Yeah, I'm creating my own shader object here. So I can't instantiate a shader. So I have to copy this get shader code from file stuff too. Which means this should just be a utility function. So I'll move that. Oh, but it uses self. Or does it use self? It calls itself, but it doesn't use the self variable. Okay, so I'll move this. Try to make this a utility function. Then when this is calling self get shader from file, I'll just call regular get shader from file. And so now this can call get shader from file. And that'll create a shader program. Where did this get its context from? That's passed in. Okay, so that'll create the shader program. Which isn't totally what I want. And that's because I only want to get the fragment shader. So this should be slash name dot frag. This is what I want. Or fragment shader name. Okay, before I do anything else, I'm gonna make sure I didn't totally break this by factoring out that file or that function. Get shader code from file. So I just try to run literally anything. Yep, I broke it. What did I do? Mod render scene classes from file. Interesting. Wait, example scenes OpenGL not found? Oh, I'm not in the root. Okay, so that still works. Okay, so this I'll move up somewhere. It probably should be in its own file. And now for the full screen quad. I want to only take the frag. So it should just be like... It's not a for loop, it's just the one. So shader file path is shader